Well, in testing, I discovered that while the amp is behaving okay, it still sounded a little bit off to me. And I rolled some tubes and I found that this original ARS was just kind of wimpy, a little bit noisy. I've got a temporary tube in there now. I've got some issues where it's picking up the wireless mic right now. I haven't had that before. I think it's just a proximity thing. Ignore that. This ARS tube is okay. This JJ was kind of wimpy, and this Behringer branded tube was really wimpy. So it needs 3 new tubes. I spoke to the owner. It's going to get 4 new tubes, and this one remaining OK tube is going to be returned as a spare. These 3 are going the way of all flesh. Okay, the new tubes arrived. So I've got TAD red bases all around. The first 2 are the 7025 high grade, one for each channel. The one which is for the cathode follower and tone stack in the dirty channel is a 12AX7 premium, as is the phase inverter. This specifically handles the high cathode voltage very well. And no microphonics, no weird sounds. We're going to start with the clean channel, and I want to show you something that a lot of people aren't going to realize. Now, this is a very well-made amp, and it's very well thought out. It has audio taper pots for both bass and treble. On the actual fenders that this circuit is derived from, they use a 30% audio taper rather than a 10% on the treble pot. So if you set it all to noon like this, it's a little dark to our ears. Noon on a fender would be more about right here. And I've got the bright cap off for this part. If you want to get a little bit brighter, like if people are using a fender with the bright switch off and the treble turned up to about 7, you want to be about 230. That's about where most people would set the similar channel on a deluxe reverb or a pro reverb without the bright cap. And one of the reasons I point that out is if you're used to a Fender and you come to this amp and you set the knobs the way you might set your Fender, you're going to find it kind of dark. So you got to set it more like is appropriate for this amp. And this is not just to this amp. There are a lot of amps out there that use a different taper pot than you may be used to, or people chasing the knob position of their Heroes amps. And unless you know exactly what pots are in your Heroes amps or what the taper is and the value, the o'clock position is just a rough guess. You can set your personal amp to the same o'clock positions on the knobs and not get even close to the actual sound you're chasing. So, between 10 o'clock and 1 o'clock is a good range on this bass. I'm going to set it a little bit low because I got a bass heavy 2x12. That's a pretty good neutral starting point. If we want to do the bright cap, we're going to turn the treble down a little bit so it doesn't get ice picky. Maybe a little bit to accentuate that. Try that again without my fingernail catching it. And then you have a less bright but still bright position there. Quick note on this, and this is the same for this amp as it is for, say, a Pro Reverb or a deluxe reverb, you have a fixed mids position. You can't change the mids directly, but you can change the amount of scoop. If you turn the bass and treble up quite a bit and then turn the gain down to compensate, let me take off the bright cap, you're going to hear different amounts of mids. Versus so as you turn these up, you're going to get more of a scoop in the mids. As you turn them down, you're going to get more prominent mids. And so even without a mid-range knob, or mid-range pot, you can get some good control over the mids and get a nice result. I've got a little scratch on this volume pot. I need to clean it next string change. These are the Mojotone Quiet Coils, and this is a Suhr Thornbucker. Now I've got the Thornbucker set a little bit low so it doesn't dwarf the output of the single coils. It'll still do what we need to do when we get to the other channel. I mentioned all this. If you look at the first video of this amp, link in the description below, you'll remember that this came in because it had no headroom at all on the clean channel, and now it just sounds pretty freaking amazing. Now let's go to the dirty channel. Now I'm going to start with the treble middle bass at noon, and we got the presence here just below 11 o'clock. It's a pretty good starting point. We can always go brighter, we can go darker. We'll get to that. We're going to start with the boost off, and we're going to start with the gain down and the master volume up. Let this thing be a bit more martially. That's kind of JTM 45-ish. Let's give it a little more master. And watch my meters on the recording. See, it's beginning to get really responsive with that feedback, but that's kind of a very flat sound. Notice it's not bright like it used to be. So let's do the Marshall trick. Turn the treble and mids up to about 2 and the bass down to about 10, and maybe bump up the presence a little bit. Believe it or not, in a band context, that with less gain will oftentimes sound bigger and more impressive than a lot of gain. But we're going to do some more gain. Let's start about 1, 2 o'clock. Turn the master down a little bit. Leave all the knobs where they are. Sorry, I hit the volume knob on the guitar a little bit. So that, at that level of gain, sounds a little bit too bright for some people. That's kind of one of the tricks to get into the Van Halen thing with a boost on. Now, I don't play like Van Halen, and I've only had 1 cup of coffee today, and I don't feel like making an idiot of myself on the internet, so I'm just showing what it sounds like as opposed to Chop City. But it's a really nice range, and let's turn the treble down, keep the presence kind of close to noon, bring the mids up. A lot lives in the mids, and keep the bass down here. It's a very nice sound, and then you can adjust the treble very nicely. I'm sorry. I got lost into just how good that A sounded. Anyway, there are a lot of high gain demos of this out there. You can hear guys with chops galore playing through these. But you don't get a chance to hear someone often say, and this is the opposite of what you do. And this is the range. So from a text perspective, I know what's going on inside this amp, and I approve. There's that little trick with the pot taper, specifically on the treble pot of the clean channel. I think the owner is going to be thrilled with the new voicing, which is just the most current voicing of the gain channel. And one of the tricks I like to do with any Marshall-inspired amp is see what the clean sounds like, because a really good Marshall still usually has a very nice clean. So I've got the boost off. That's that dirty pot again. Yeah, that's working really well for me. A lot of Marshall inspired amps on the market, or the ones that say that they are at least, just don't have any real tonal interest when set clean, and this one does. And if my mic pre will allow, you can also have the gain up a bit, roll the volume back,